Hello and welcome everyone. This is Nitesh Mishra from Federation of Indian Export Organizations, popularly known as FIO, India's apex trade promotion organization. And you are listening to the Voice of Exports, India's first exclusive podcast for EXIM community. On this podcast, we bring top performers from the sector who not only inspire but also reinvigorate among you to become one of them. Welcome to another episode of Voice of Exports, India's first audio podcast started and managed by FIO for its member exporters. Today we have in our program Mr. Ravi Tiwari, who is Managing Director of Jai Rai Mata Exports, which is into exports of garment of various categories. Welcome Mr. Tiwari for this show.
Thank you, Nitesh ji, for inviting me in such a good podcast.
The very first question I would like to ask you, Mr. Tiwari, would be, please introduce your company and the brand and products which you have.
Nitesh ji, we are one of the professional and reliable garment export house from India. We've been in this industry from last 20 years and have a great experience of supplying to all the major retailers of US, UK and Europe. We are deals in a category men's, ladies, kids, girls, both woven and knits.
Now that you have talked about your categories and the markets you are exporting to, we have come across a situation where we have tariff war, the challenges being faced by the exporters at this point in time. So how do you look at the initiative of diversification of exports during our current times?
First of all, I want to tell you that really we as an exporters fraternity passing from a very rough patch. As an exporters from India, we are a manufacturing country and totally dependent on exports. Now, US is a major market of buying of RMG, and right now, due to this tariff situation, we are really facing a hard times of supplying our garments there and market there, because the advantage has been taken by countries like China, Pakistan and Indonesia, because they already have lesser duty than us. Okay. But as we are having the fabrics, we are from yarn to crop to yarn to fabric, and such a variety and domestic market we have. We are exploring ourselves into the new market, but still it's a time-consuming thing. We will going to take a time to enter in the new market, because so many years we only supply to USA. But there is a challenges, and we are passing through it by participating, and FIO is helping us by making us participate in various geographical market like Europe, Russia, and other market where we are trying to explore ourselves and our products.
When you talk about diversification of markets, has the tariff really impacted our exports and overall India's exports, and especially talking about your sector?
100%, because 60% of our total garment export is going to USA. So USA is a major import market for RMG, and due to this, we are really facing a very big challenges. We have to run the show. So there is a labor who's sitting without a job. We don't know when the next season is going to be planned, and we already missed 2 seasons consistently. So right now, without USA, we can imagine our sustainability, but then we need some time to explore new market, because it's not very easy to go into the new market and get the business. You have to show them a sample. You have to communicate with them, win their trust, and then only you can get some business.
Okay. When you talk about other challenges, can you enumerate them, and how do you see India's initiative of having FTAs with other countries in fact fulfilling and overcoming those challenges?
FTA is what we see now, the recent FTA like Australia and European countries and Scandinavian countries.
Okay.
Actually, they are themselves a very big exporter to India.
Okay.
So as such, we are never been such a big export to that market. So it hardly makes any difference to us. Yes, there is a country where we are definitely looking for FTAs like Africa. We are looking for FTA in European countries like France, like Germany. And if we are getting that market where we are exporting already in a big way, then we get some relief because these markets are very small for us and still untappable.
Okay, when you talk about European markets, we are soon going to have an FTA with EU. So how do you see the EU FTA as with regard to Indian exports and especially your sector?
As I always said, EU will be a milestone for garment export. The reason behind it that right now that whole thing has been entertained by Bangladesh because they are like 12% GSP already there from last so many years, and they are existing in that market from last so many years.
Okay.
But the biggest challenges right now we are facing is that Europe itself struggling into inflations and financial losses and job losses that, it's not very easy for us to get FTA and move tomorrow. Like we still need some time to, explore ourselves in that market also. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a milestone because FTA in Europe will definitely going to help us and give a high competition to Bangladesh.
When you look at the current challenges, what are your key learnings during the journey of exports in recent times? And what advice would you like to give to companies similar to you or in general looking at exporting to newer and newer markets?
The only advice I want to give to the new exporters and existing ones is to be very ethical, focus, and always be players in your game. Like I've seen many exporters are just looks like a spectator. They just bring the orders. They don't even part of the process, and they don't know the fragmentation how is going on in this industry. The technology upgradation is not there.
Okay.
The testing parameters are not there. So I think every exporter should understand that classical way of supply and manufacturing has been ended now. They have to go with the low MOQs. They have to upgrade their technology. They have to be more good in communication, and most importantly, they have to good into the turn-up time of manufacturing, which is like 90 days to 120 days. But now they have to come at least by 60 days to provide buyer, a business where he cannot make any more stocks with him. So he have no any financial crunches with him.
When you talk about markets, new markets, you talked about US, UK being our traditional market, and US, UK, and EU being our traditional markets. So,
yes.
What other markets are you looking at for your products, especially from the textile sector?
As I give a suggestion to the government also, that like how it used to be a barter system between Russia and India 25 years before or 30 years before, the same barter system has to be started because Russia is already selling a lot of the oil to us. Okay. And it's time to him to buy a lot of garments also from us. And African countries is really unexplorable in garments and other sectors where we really need to explore that countries and find a way to supply more and more there because the GDPs are good and the population is a good consumer. For example, we also have to look after the thing that how consumer is reacting our product. If they have money to buy, they can definitely go into expense. Other markets right now facing a lot of challenges of their own sustainability in living. So clothing is always come later on.
Okay, when you talk about FIO services, what has made you seek us out in terms of FIO services?
I must say I started FIO by making a RCMC, and after that, by the grace of God and a good team, being a participant as a committee member in this FIO, and always, be a participant, and we are a real voice of garment exporters and exporters of each and every field. Right now also, the CGSME scheme, the moratorium, all this fight has been done by FIO. FIO is always stands for all the exporters fraternity, no matter what department it is, but we are always stand with them. So FIO is something which is really a catalyst, a brother, a support, backbone of garment industry and any export industry.
You have said in your profile that your company is one of the first exporters in India who have started to make products in recycled yarn. Can you elaborate on that?
That is something where I started my business, and I still remember I got a first polo t-shirt from one of our American clients, which we supplied particularly that 4-5 years, like more than 300 to 400 containers. So when I was making that sample, I met one new yarn mill in Ludhiana, and he told me that, this one yarn is like consumption of 20 pack bottles. I find it so good that, if my product can save 10 bottles getting into this earth and spoiling it, it's better that I can make a t-shirt there. So from there it started. But it is very pity that the day when I started this recycled product, nobody have care about it. And right now everybody's talking about eco-friendly yarn, recycled yarn, and things like that.
When you talk about the year 2025, how do you see that year for the sector as a whole, especially your sector, coming across various challenges, and how do you see the year 2026 and the coming 5 years from now for the textile industry as a whole?
2025, I must say, is a year of disturbance, is a year of logistic disturbance, is a year of weather disturbance. Like, for example, first of all, the Red Sea problem make the transit time increased. Because of that, we missed the season. We shipped the winter goods, and there is still a winter going on in the country, some of the countries. So this is the weather problem we faced. Then the war zones is always make buyer more reluctant to buy anything, because they become very miser in buying something, because of they always get afraid and fear that once I buy from them, and if anything happen, what going to happen? So 2025 is really a very bad year for garment exports.
And how about the 2026 and the coming 5 years from now? How do you perceive it and prospects for another 5 years?
Coming 5 years is always looks very bright, because as I always said, in this world only two countries are there. One is China and one is India, who have everything to produce from raw material to the garment, and we have young generation who can come and design the products.
Okay.
The only challenges we are facing right now is a logistic. The only challenges we are facing right now is a finance. The only challenges we are facing right now is a geographical disturbance, which is like, creating every time a new obstacles in front of us.
The three very and the most important thing which you would like to suggest for any company which is coming into the textile sector exports, what would be those?
First of all, you know what you are doing.
Okay.
Second, be a learner, be an observer, then doing a comment on it. Number three, comply all the compliances which buyer want for any textile and garment.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Tiwari, for being so insightful and candid in your approach while answering the questions. And thank you for being a part of Voice of Exports program.
Thank you very much, sir.
Voice of Exports podcast by FIO aims to provide important information and views on foreign trade, especially on exports, which will help both Indian exporters and importers. Any statements made by an exporter, importer, or an importing company in this podcast as guests reflect the views and opinions of that individual or the company. This podcast does not constitute an endorsement by the FIO of the individual or the company, his or her or its employer or affiliated entity. The specific information or views provided, resources mentioned, or products or services endorsed or offered by that individual or the company, his or her or its employer or affiliated entity. FIO assumes no responsibility for the accuracy, completeness, or timelines of the information provided by the guest or the company in this podcast, or for the decisions made and reliance on any information provided by the guest or the company in this podcast. We thank you for listening to this episode of Voice of Exports podcast service brought to you by the FIO. For more information on how you can start exporting, please visit our website www.fio.org.